Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Legionary's Life, A Soldier of Mars. In the last episode, we arrived in Greece to begin the Greece campaign against King Philip V of Macedonia. Also, the very last thing we managed to do was secure our second mural crown for the conquest of the Greek city of Pelion, which has now been made our consul's HQ while on this Greece campaign. But for now, we'll go ahead and continue doing patrols to work out our remaining time, but we are under attack. These are javelins. Oh gosh, the Thorophior are coming. We tighten formation and prepare to receive their charge. We will of course throw our javelin, hitting him in the arm, and then go for a neck attack, which is absorbed by the quilt, and then for the torso. And that ends the attack. They realize they have bitten off more than they can chew. With no choice left, they call off the attack and retreat. But, oh, looks like another thread. With the arrival of spring and the news of Philip's presence in nearby Epirus, Tapulus is eager to leave winter quarters and move towards the enemy. You are encamped after a long day's march when something completely unexpected happens. The new consul is here, ready to take command and send Tapulus back to Rome. He must have left Italia much sooner than customary and hurried by forced marches since then. He is very young for a consul, about your age, but Titus Quintius Flaminius looks like a very driven man and has a crazy name, and so for now forth will be known as Titus. A few days later, his reinforcements join you. Titus has brought over 3,000 men, many of them veterans who served in Hispania or Africa. Excellent. 3 veteran legionaries are picking on a young Umbrian recruit. They have taken his helmet and won't give it back. Umbrians are Soci. While not full citizens, they sustain the Republic in its darkest hour. Besides, this young man is here as a volunteer. We will make the veterans stop. Our virtue is increased by 3. There's a swift change of attitude as soon as they recognize your rank. They apologize and return the helmet. The Umbrian soldier thanks you. That's great. You're building quite the reputation as a trustworthy stand-up presence, which is what we want. Good leadership, being a good example to the troops. Another thread, this time is a foraging party. We'll go ahead and head up through a couple woods, but then over to these villages on the left, we find a brook and we will fish. Gather quite a few fish from the brook, and then collect supplies from the 2 villages, and that should be enough for us. Excellent. And with that, we'll go ahead and head back to camp and go back onto patrol. I think we've now maxed out all of our opinion, which is good. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next battle. You overhear 2 tribunes discussing the present situation. The youngest of the pair insists that it would be better to take the long route through Dacertia, bypass the enemy entirely, and invade Macedonia from there. His colleague replies that such a move would lead Philip's army between you and your bases on the coast. Not the brightest maneuver he has ever seen. It would also solve nothing. If you want to obtain a decisive advantage, you have to face the Macedonians now. The consul, Titus, must have thought the same, because you are marched to the river Aeos, where the enemy is waiting for you. You make camp and prepare for the inevitable. So many years of campaigning under your belt, and you are still not completely used to this. Regardless, you don't let any of your nervousness show on the outside. And to battle we go. The enemy's position is very solid and difficult to attack. It is no surprise when the consul accepts the summit with Philip to discuss peace terms. He needs time to figure out how to crack this nut. It is even less surprising when the meeting comes to nothing. The next day, several skirmishes are up between patrols on the plain separating your camp from the Macedonians. The fighting is spreading quickly, and your unit is sent out to help reduce the pressure. Philip has sent reinforcements too. The first thing you notice are the 20 feet tall pikes held high by the rear ranks. The phalanx. The phalanx is approaching. You have seen many things in the last 12 years. None of them were as scary as 5 layers of spear points advancing towards you like an impregnable, death-dealing wall. While the other side's at the right distance, we will spot an officer and hurl our javelin, which just shatters his shield. So this is a little different. The phalanx you kind of treat as one enemy, and you have a few different attacks. We will throw a javelin at it and do some damage. And with these are all you get. You get slash, decoy, push, respite, and chop. Slash is a little bit of damage. Decoy tries to reduce the stance as the shield push. Respite is the same as always, but at this high skill level, chop I always find does the best damage. It's gonna absorb some of the blast or damage anyways, but chop I find gets through the most spears the quickest, and with that we're through the phalanx. You have broken through the spear wall. You engage the phalangites without wasting time. You are outnumbered, but they are not as skilled at you as close quarters. So basically we're fighting auxiliaries in the phalanx, which are specifically meant for people who break through the spears like us. But they are not very skilled because the phalanx normally does most of the work, which means we should be able to take them out fairly quickly. The issue is there's a lot of them and we're the only one that got through the phalanx. But no doubt we are, again, the best fighter in perhaps all the world at this moment in time, and thus we'll be able to take out the enemy fairly easily. The fierce barbarian warrior sowing death among their ranks is too much for them. The phalangites are breaking and retreating. Enemy skirmishers promptly interfere to cover their withdrawal. They can't hold you for long. You start giving chase as soon as you have regrouped. And with that, we kept the phalanx from working. Your pursuit takes you closer and closer to the enemy camp. The ground is getting very unfavorable. Such a slope is going to make it very difficult for you to fight. In an instant, the noise and cries of your companions alert you to a more horrifying danger. The Macedonians have put up siege weapons to reinforce their position. They are shooting at you with their ballistae. Something smashes your shield and knocks you off your feet. In the shock of the moment, your first clear thought is that your arm is still attached. It must have been a glancing blow, or you would be dead already. That was probably one of the bolts from the ballista. Enemies are approaching from above. You feel very vulnerable without a shield. And because we are in a centurion, we can borrow the shield of another soldier and send him to the rear line. He complies without arguing and hurries through the ranks to a safe position. The Macedonian footmen are upon you or approaching. Luckily, these guys aren't very skilled either. We'll go for the neck attacks here. Even though they have the high ground, these are not very skilled troops. Typically the phalanx is the biggest enemy you need to watch out for while on campaign here in Greece. But the actual footmen themselves typically aren't much of a problem, especially for someone like us who has very, very good gear. And again, is the best soldier in the entire Roman army, if not the world. But with this, we'll quickly get through as many of these footmen as we can. Don't know how many rounds of combat we'll have here, but we will get some respite in, and it looks like the rounds are going to finish pretty early, because on round 15 we've already gotten the message. I don't know if this will be the last round, or the next round will. We'll have to see. Looks like 18 was the last one. The enemy starts pulling back. As soon as you gain a little ground, the difficult terrain and the enemy's defenses unravel your progress. When sunset comes, the skirmish dies out. The last skirmish proved that you can't defeat Philip with a frontal attack, not as long as he is holding his advantageous position. One night, your maniple and many others are silently gathered in the intervallum between the ramparts and the tents. It is a little army, perhaps as big as a legion. A tribune is in charge. There is a bound man next to him. You march under the moonlight, moving away from the enemy, at least initially. Eventually you take a path through the mountains. Before dawn you encamp to eat and rest, only to resume your journey at night. They say the bound man is a local shepherd who promised to lead you behind the Macedonian camp. He is bound to make sure he stays true to his word, but has been promised a rich payment for his help. On the third night, you are told to be doubly vigilant. You must be very close to your destination. For one brief instant, you see what looks like a helmet glint in the moonlight on a rise off the path. Enemy lookouts. You immediately raise the alarm and take part in the chase. Even with the help of the moonlight, the hunt is very demanding, and the lookouts have a good head start. But you never lose sight of them. Only Terentius is keeping up with you. When the two fugitives realize you are getting too close, they turn around to fight a desperate battle. But we will immediately throw our javelin, hitting one in the arm, then hitting his neck. You can see that both of them are exhausted from running, and Terentius is also pretty tired, but we're okay. We'll go ahead and attack the other one in the neck, and then the torso, and with that, both of the scouts are dead. Other legionaries are arriving in 2s and 3s, but this battle is already over. You rejoin the bulk of your force and resume your march. You have played a salient role in both spotting and dealing with the threat. This is getting noticed. No mental attribute increase, but 2 cups for engaging those 2 scouts. You arrive at your destination before dawn. You are told that the enemy is below the other side of the height you are holding right now. You can take some time to rest, but soon in the morning the Tribune signals your position to the consul with a column of smoke. After this, you are told to wait and be at the ready. It is hard to say how long you have been waiting. In moments like these, time always seems to slow down. Now you can clearly hear the noise of battle coming over from the other side. At last, the order to advance is given. When you appear above the enemy camp, you can feel their panic even from this far. Some of them attempt to oppose your advance, but they are routed with ease. The rest of the Macedonian army is fighting against the troops that remained with Titus. The mere sight of you approaching from behind is too much for them. They give up the battle and flee. Were it not for the rugged ground that hampered your cavalry, Philip would have lost most of his army today. As it is, many of the Macedonians managed to escape, including their king. You could have won the war on this very day. On a positive note, they have left behind some of their possessions in their hasty flight, which is good, more money for the troops, but we will continue on. Another gold armilla for our battle prowess. And with that, that ends that portion of battle, so the Macedonians have managed to get away from us, hopefully not for long. And for now, we will once again be taking up extra patrols, but a threat of our life. Consul Titus is known for being a Philhellean, a great admirer of Graecian culture. He thinks virtuous, honorable officers like you will help establish firm and long-lasting ties with the locals. Opinion Consul increased by 7. Very good. Should be maxed out. Virtue's nearly maxed out too. For now, we're just gonna go patrolling again. But we have a thread. Your victory at the River Aeos opened up a path through Epirus and into Thessalia, a region long under Macedonian dominion. Here you were joined by 2 allies, the Aetolians and the Athamanes. They have already taken control of several towns. I'm not familiar with either of those groups, to be honest with you. The consul is determined to capture the city of Phaloria, but it is garrisoned by 2,000 soldiers of Philip's army. It soon becomes clear that this is going to be harder than usual. The defenders are driving back every assault. Days after the siege began, your patrol captures a group of merchants not too far from the city, where you will just take them back to our camp. We have already done our part. The return trip is uneventful. Today you'll storm the city walls, and doing the normal ladder building, we will have our say because we know we can get them pretty accurate. The ladders are ready. Only the field test will tell if your evaluation was right or direly wrong. You advance towards the city. The assault begins. The defenders do what they can to thwart your action as the ladders are propped up against the city walls. We did an outstanding job. Their length is perfect, making the assault easier. We're once again going for the mural crown here and climbing at breakneck speed. Once again, we will have militiamen, or we have garrison soldiers, sorry, they're slightly better than militiamen, but we will still be going for the next, even with our disadvantage. As we kill one, and kill the second two. Once again, going for the neck of these two. Managed to kill both of them. And within a couple of rounds, we have dispatched all the enemies and are at the top of the wall. We are once again the first. The last remaining resistance is broken, and the city is ours. After you have left the burning ruins of Floria behind, the rewards of battle are assigned. We gain loot, and are awarded the Mural Crown. Our third Mural Crown. And we once again go back on patrol. We had a random encounter. More arrows. Probably from Cretan archers. Yep. But we now must move on again. We have another thread. You suffer a mortifying setback at Atrax. Your siege engines tear down a section of the city walls, but the Macedonian garrison forms a phalanx behind the breach. They thwart any attempt to break into the city. The fact that your maniple wasn't involved in the attacks does little to lessen your frustration. This episode is an anguishing reminder of how impervious the phalanx can be under the right conditions, which is not being flanked. Titus raises the siege and leads you in search of less defended targets. The towns of Phenodius, Anticyra, Ambrius, Hyampolis, and Dalius fall in rapid succession. Once again, going back to patrolling. Another thread. The important city of Eladia is the last to fall before winter. Its doom is sealed when a large section of the wall is brought down. When a dispute arises between your men and a group of Aetolian allies during the pillaging, it is only your intervention that prevents blood from being shed. We have another thread, and we will be foraging. This map isn't so great, but we'll do our best with it. We find a brook, we will fish, and we're going to try and basically go through as little of the mountains as possible because they take a lot of time. But we do want the supplies, a good hunting place, and finally the last supplies there out of the village. All the way down to the bottom around the mountains and back. Another random encounter. Thracians. Alright. Thracian auxiliaries with no torso armor. That's fine, we'll go for the neck. And that is that. They realize they have bitten off more than they can chew. With no choice left but to call off the attack, they retreat. And once again, we shall go on patrol. Another thread. The Achaean League joins the anti-Macedonian coalition. Titus and Philip meet again to no avail. Many suspect the council of keeping a door open in case his command is not prolonged, so that his successor won't take credit for ending the war. When he is given proconsular authority by the Senate, you are all certain that the conflict will go on till an overwhelming defeat forces Philip to accept all of Rome's demands. Also, your army is partly renewed with when thousands of reinforcements from home join you. More men, but we go on patrol. Placidius is juggling 3 daggers to entertain you and the rest of your troop as you stand around the campfire. He may not be the most disciplined legionary you've ever met, but he is sure dexterous. We're just gonna enjoy the show and relax. You welcome the break. After Placidius is a little number, you spend the rest of the evening trading tales of home. And once again, go on patrol. This one's just arrows that don't do anything. And a new thread. Independent thinking and decisiveness, proconsular opinion. More proconsular opinion, and another thread. Your party is walking through a small town when suddenly a stone bounces off your shield with a thump. Someone is having fun using you as target practice. We're going to act as if nothing happened. Try to look casual, but the other legionaries take your lack of reaction for weakness, which is not great. Anyway, there are no more accidents. But, no matter. That'll be pretty much already solved. And with that, we will move on. You camp in proximity of Ferrere, one of the most ancient cities in Thessalia. All you know is that Philip and the main body of his army are somewhere in this region. The air is heavy with tension. There is no way around the final confrontation to end this war. You find some comfort in the knowledge that this is an opponent you have already defeated in battle, but the setback at Atrax proved that under the right conditions the phalanx can be nearly impossible to overcome. You can only hope that Titus is clever enough to prevent Philip from using his fearsome yet scarcely immobile weapon to its full effectiveness, or things could get very ugly, but that is way beyond your control. You immediately set the thought aside. You'd better stay focused on the things you can have an impact on. And with that, we will continue into battle. You are accompanying a vanguard that mostly consists of light infantry. Your mission is to learn what you can of the Macedonians' whereabouts. It is a surprisingly short quest. You are crossing the hills to the north of your headquarters when you run into a similarly composed party. Enemies. Their own camp must be very close. Philip is certainly not wasting time. He must have learned of your presence and is already on your heels. You don't have orders to attack on sight, so you just observe each other from a safe distance as you wait for the messengers who have been sent to Titus to come back with instructions. Part of the rival vanguard belongs to the Agema Peltis. You can tell by their insignia. If normal Peltis are the best of Philip's army, these are the cream of the crop. You cannot attack, but you can issue a challenge to single combat. It could be an occasion for personal glory or an early grave. We will issue the challenge. These are elite troops, and most likely one of their best will answer your challenge. Are you sure you want to do this? Absolutely. Their leader comes forward, a Chiliarch, a commander of 1,000. There are only 2 of them in Agema. In a brisk voice, he asks if you are Maximus Decimus Meridius. When you confirm, he gives you a long and praising look. It seems you have a reputation, even among the enemy. The way he hurls his javelin at you leaves no doubts about his deft skills. You deflect his powerful and well-aimed attack. As you prepare to respond, he unsheathes his sword. You are startled when you recognize it. It is not the usual blade they call Xiphos in this land. It is Hispanian sword. Much worse, you remember seeing the decorations on the hilt. The sword belonged to Tertus Curius Dentatus, one of the most prominent centurions in your legion. It was forged by a renowned Carpathian bladesmith. Dentius fell almost 2 years ago near Plumina, reportedly killed by a leader of the Agema Peltis. You don't believe there are more than a handful of opponents as dangerous as this one in the whole world, but it is now too late to back out. But we will throw our javelin at him, and we actually miss. No worries, we'll go ahead and go for the torso. He'll attack, miss the arm, and we'll now go for the neck, but miss and recover. I think we're actually going to go with the shield knock here. Succeed, then go for the neck. Slice him badly, he'll try to recover, fail, we'll go for the neck, and succeed. Your allies erupt in elation as you deal the killing blow. The 2 best warriors in both armies have met in single combat today, and you came out on top. The Agema Peltis do not look at you with a mix of astonishment and respect. They do not interfere as you strip your fallen adversary of his weapon and armor. Dusk is approaching. When the messengers come back, there will be no more fighting today. You are all to return to camp. Upon hearing of your duel, a tribune sends his physician to take care of your wounds, but we're okay. We get a cup, and move on. And I think that's where we'll go ahead and end today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe video if you want to see more videos in the future, and hit the bell to be notified when more videos are released. Also, make sure you leave a comment down below with what you liked or any other comments about the video. If you dislike the video, hit the dislike button, but leave a comment down below letting me know what you disliked. I'm always looking to make improvements. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and bye-bye.